It's been said that we create our own realities. And part of the purpose of this class is to learn how to do that at the most fundamental levels, including how we communicate with each other, how we literally feel each other, feel the other, which we know is ultimately ourselves. If this world works as a hologram, as a mirror dimension for us to learn, and if we are all one, then the hologram is also us. First and foremost, we have to understand that in this moment, all things exist. So us creating our reality is not starting from scratch to create something. It's tuning into something that already exists. If we can even imagine it, if we can even have the conception of something different, we have to have the ability to become that, to be that, or to simply tune into that. So we're not really creating another reality. We're simply tuning into another reality that already exists. And the reason why empaths are at the cutting edge of this is because we know how to tune into energy. So part of what we're doing in this empathic communication is tuning into the reality that we prefer. That literally means tuning into an entirely different parallel reality that looks very similar to the one we're in, because quantum jumps at this point are possible, but a little too disorienting for most of us. I don't even think we actually want that. But we do like having shifts that are noticeable. So imagine, rather than imagining, I should say, that you're changing the world, that you have to be who your most authentic self to change the world or to help others or to what. Anytime we do that, anytime we think of us against the world, or we need to fix the world, or we need to harmonize with the world, or any of it, and I know I've used the word harmonized, but that's specifically just harmonizing to what authentically is what you're feeling in any given moment. But some reality that's out there separate than you that you need to somehow fix is really a flawed premise. It's a flawed way of even interacting with this dimension, because it's basically, when you do that, you're creating a world that needs you to fix it. In other words, you're creating a cancerous environment. The way cancer works in the body, in a cell, is that the cell outputs so much energy and doesn't receive enough oxygen. So it becomes cancerous. It mutates. The same could be said of any dimension in which we have to go in and fix it. The reality is we need to take that intake of breath, the intake of receiving the frequency of that which we want to line up to, and then allowing the glitches to work themselves out, because we'll tune into that frequency. Anywhere we have a block within us to receiving that which we would prefer, it will come out as a glitch. It'll come out as a negative emotion. It'll come out as someone popping in your reality and telling you you're stupid or that you can't do it or whatever. The world around you will just simply show you where you have a block to receiving fully that frequency of the world or the reality in which you prefer. So part of empathically communicating with the hologram around us is, again, ultimately communicating, feeling where we have a glitch. So it's putting our feelers out there. Let's say, what is the reality you wish to tune into in this moment? What do you prefer? How would you prefer to feel? And rather than imagining a utopian world, just imagine day to day how you would like to feel. How would you prefer to feel? What kind of energy do you want to emit? How do you want to feel in the way that you create, in the way that you have relationships, in the way that you especially experience your dynamics with other people? Because as empaths, that's usually our biggest glitch, is our relationships with others. How do you want to feel? Start tuning into that frequency and allowing it moment to moment to moment. In this moment, this is the only thing that exists. This moment is the only thing that exists. There is no such thing as a past, and there is no future. It's only one continuous now that we're looking at from an infinite amount of perspectives. And you get to choose whatever perspective you want to tune into. That's what it means to consciously create your reality. It's really consciously tuning into that which already exists, because everything already is. You're not creating anything. You're simply tuning in and receiving the frequency of what it is you prefer. The creation comes by you allowing it. Creation is simply allowing that inspiration, that frequency, that reality to come through you completely, to receive it fully in your physical body, in your energetic body, in your emotional body. And then it projects out around you, and suddenly you've shifted into a different reality. This happens all the time. One of the practices that I've begun doing is paying attention to how my reality shifts and what feels different about it. I'll do it even in a moment-to-moment basis. I've even gone so far as breaking it down to each simulation. Each moment I have where I'm experiencing something, like in this moment right now, I'm in a simulation. My simulation right now, it looks like me sitting in my living room doing audio, but also the sun setting. I'm literally looking at the sun. I'm sun gazing. I'm hearing the birds chirp. I'm hearing, I'm feeling the reality of what it feels like to allow myself to tune in to my innermost being, my innermost knowing, and feel what that feels like projected around me, which it feels like clarity. It feels like something new being born. It feels like new life. I feel a new birth, really. And this class and all this stuff that I've been shifting into is reflecting that back to me more and more and more. And one of the glitches I realized today, it suddenly came to me because I've been trying to really tune into what to say in the class, and because I have all this stuff that comes through to me, and that I don't necessarily know how the best way to quote unquote teach it, even though I know I'm not teaching and that's not what we do. I'm simply a mirror. And when I was doing the previous audio and I was realizing that I am the hologram speaking, it is not my job to teach anyone. It's just simply my job to emit the frequency that I am, the most authentic most authentically. So I'm also, where I'm glitching or where there may be incomplete understanding in what I'm saying, that needs to be authentically where I'm at. If I'm pretending or glossing it over, I'm not authentically representing where I am, and therefore I can't be that reflection to you. And I also realized as just coming into the empath group, the bigger empath group on Facebook and my YouTube channel, and just feeling like I haven't wanted to say things lately, I realize it's because I still had this belief that there was a world of empaths out there that needed help. That is true in a certain reality, but that's not the reality in which I've been tuning into. The reality in which I've been tuning into, everyone is aware that is consciously aware that they're creating their own reality. And so if I am in that reality and then trying to suddenly speak to a dimension in which I believe people needed help, I was creating this dichotomy. I was creating this glitch in the system. And I realized that's where the communication issue was coming through on my end, why I was feeling like I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to the larger group. I feel much more comfortable in my smaller classes, but in the larger group of empaths, it's because I was still operating under a belief that there's a world out there in which I need to help or fix. And I didn't even realize I was doing that, because consciously I've already chosen, I already believe and know, and I've chosen a different reality. I already believe that everyone has the answers within themselves, and my only job is to simply line up with who I am and then emit that frequency, line up with those truths, and then that's what's reflected back to me. My job, and everyone is that receiver. Everyone is on their own journey, so it's not my job to teach anyone. And I had to see that I was still operating under that belief. But it's not wrong. It's just part of my journey, because I had to authentically feel where I was at. And I wouldn't have been able to realize that unless I was authentically able to be honest and be like, yes, something feels off. Many times in the past, I've just put stuff out anyway, even when I don't feel it. But this time listening to myself, and what my inner self was saying was like, that doesn't feel right. There's something that doesn't feel right. I don't know what to say. And then so I had to explore that. Okay, what is that? What do I need? And then what I realized I needed was to be in a reality that wasn't cancerous, a reality that everyone is responsible for themselves, but really responsible isn't even the right word, and where we're all powerful beings that have the capacity to receive and understand everything that we need to understand for our journeys, and that my only responsibility is to emit that frequency out, my most authentic, empowered self, or wherever I am at any given moment. But the reality in which I'm creating, the one that I'm most excited about, the one that feels like it's pouring out of me, is the reality in which we are creating a new dimension of understanding of vibration. We're creating a new dialogue. We are creating a new conversation entirely. Like I've called it telepathic communication, but it's so much more than that. It's really learning how to understand this hologram, read the hologram, the vibrations of this hologram. When you understand vibration, you become a vibrational linguist, and you completely understand how to receive the vibration in which the frequency that you're tuning into, and allow it to come through you, allow it to come out in whatever way it comes out of you, the receiver. It reflects that back to you. All of a sudden the hologram changes. That is the hologram in which you're tuning into. It changes. That's the thing I'm most excited about. That is the information I'm most excited about. I wouldn't have even realized that I didn't need to fix anyone, or I didn't need to, or what I was trying to say. There was like a dichotomy between what I'm feeling most excited about and the energy that I'm receiving, and what I felt like I needed to put out if I hadn't tuned into what felt off. And it's all part of it. So again, at any given moment, we're just working out glitches. So think of yourself as a receiver. You are a receiver of vibration. Your physical body specifically is a receiver of vibration, how you move through the physical dimension. And you are transmitting that energy. So whatever you receive, you emit. And as an empath or a channel, you are receiving a tremendous amount of energy. That is why it's so important for you not to hold it back, because if you hold it back or hold it in or not be authentic about what's coming through and not let it come out, it's a cancerous relationship, or it causes blockages in your physical body. So tune into that. That's what consciously creating is. Tune into that frequency in which you prefer. Tune into the reality in which you prefer, and start with what feels best now. How do you want to feel? How do you want your work to feel? And allow yourself to go outside the box, like outside of the programs of what we've been told is possible, but still what you feel is a reality for you. Start tuning into that, then receive that information fully in your body and let it come out based on what feels good to do. How does it feel good to move in this reality? Not, okay, that's with me, but then what does the world need? What do the people around me need? What do I have to do for them? That's a cancerous relationship. You are simply emitting that joy, that state in which you most prefer becomes an overflow of your heart, and you automatically tune. Everyone around you will change. The people in your life, you'll tune into a different version of them, because literally you're shifting constantly. And quantum physics backs this up. So if you need a scientific understanding of this, seriously look into it, because it is absolutely possible what I'm saying. This is not only possible, it's what we're doing all the time. You're doing it all the time. You do it all the time. So this is not something we're learning to do. It's just something we're learning to do consciously. So think about that. You are literally receiving at any given moment information. And if you're tuning into the hologram of what is and believing only what's shown to you, that's the energy in which you're receiving in your body. But you don't have to receive that. Shift what you're receiving. Shift what the energy that's coming through. Tune into what you prefer. That reality, that you, that version of you, that joy space, the place of bliss. And shift accordingly. Let it come through, though. Authentically through what feels authentic to that energy that's coming through. Really something to think about. And I do want to hear, for those of you in the group, please share with me what your feelings are about this, even if you don't, especially if you don't resonate, or what's making sense, what's not making sense, or if an epiphany comes through you and you see it a different way. You kind of get what I'm saying, but you're seeing a different way. Super important, because we're all different, and you guys are the best mirrors for me. So please share, because I want to hear what the hologram has to say that I'm tuning into, which is you. Okay, I love you. Bye.